forest to see Miss Jean. She lives in a house that is mostly green, except for the chimney and windows and walls, and one or two places just down the halls, and it's filled with rabbits and newts and snails, and fat little puppies that wag their tails, and a whale and a tiger and elephants too.
Well, maybe not elephant.
Hi, Terry. Didn't you want to go for a walk after all?
No.
Well, maybe a little later on she'll feel more energetic. I'm certainly glad you and Danny could come to Hodgepodge Lodge this afternoon, and your friends. I'm glad you could come to Hodgepodge Lodge this afternoon, too, and I hope you'll enjoy learning about 4-H. Do you know what that means? Well, Danny and Terry Coronas are very special guests this afternoon, along with our old friends David and Donna. And I used to be a 4-H club girl a long time ago, so we're going to have a great time finding out what 4-H is. Who wants to start? Donna, you're a pretty young 4-H member. What does 4-H mean to you?
Well, 4-H means to me we have a lot of meetings, fun, and games, and a lot of fun things.
Lots of fun. Do you learn anything?
Yes, we learn quite a lot.
What have you learned?
Well, I've got now a project with mostly sewing and cooking it, and there's photography and arts and crafts and other things.
And what's the name of your club?
The Happy H's.
The Happy H's. I guess Donna's right. They do have a lot of fun. That's one good way to stay happy. What club do you two belong to?
Chestnut Ridge.
Danny, can you spread out your chest there so we can see the name on your jacket? Hold up your chin so we don't get... Read it better. Chestnut Ridge 4-H Club. And that's the name of a piece of land, isn't it? Or a community. Mm-hmm. Chestnut Ridge. 4-H clubs have different names. Some of them are named for how you feel when you're in 4-H, and others are named for a place that you go for the meetings. How long have you been in 4-H, Danny?
Be a year. September, I think.
Almost a year. How about you, Terry?
4 years.
How old do you have to be to get in?
9 as of January 1st.
By the first of the year, you have to be 9. And then how long can you stay in once you get in?
Till you're 19.
Till you're 19, so that gives you a good long time. And sometimes, even if you aren't 9, you can go to meetings, can't you, and do some of the things.
Get the hang of it.
Get the hang of it, right. And then by the time you're old enough, you know what's going on. Who runs 4-H clubs? I know who runs yours. Tell us about your leader. 4-H clubs have a leader. Does she get paid?
No, it's just volunteer work.
She just does it for fun, right? Tell us her name.
Lorraine Gover.
Lorraine Gover is the leader of the Chestnut Ridge 4-H club, and didn't she belong to that when she was a little girl?
Mm-hmm.
So she worked her way up from being a 4-H member to a leader, and I bet she'll be a leader forever. She's so good at it. Well, let's start at the beginning. And how do you start every meeting when you go to 4-H?
We say a pledge.
We say the pledge. And David, you'd say you don't know this pledge, so you want to listen? Mm-hmm. Okay, and let's the rest of it. We always have to stand up to say the 4-H pledge. You start, will you, Terry?
I pledge
my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, and my country. Did you understand that, David?
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can think about whether you're in 4-H or anything else. Everybody needs to think clearly and use their heart when they're trying to make up their mind about whether something's right or wrong to do. And we all use our hands. Mine are in pretty bad shape today because I spent yesterday weeding. That's one way to use your hands. And what was it? Oh, health. Mm-hmm. Health is very important to everybody. Well, let's get into the projects. Now, Donna said she didn't bring her projects because she didn't think that. What was your project, Donna?
Well, I have a project book, and in it I made a pin cushion and a pin holder.
You put them in the book? You didn't
Well,
mean that, did you? In the book you wrote down what you did. Okay, and you didn't bring them because you weren't very proud of them? Is that what
Well, I didn't even think we were doing the show today.
Well, maybe the next time you do a pincushion, it'll turn out to be fancy. The first time you do one, it
They
isn't
don't look
perfect.
so great.
That's right. But if it holds pins, that's what matters, okay? Let's talk about your project, Terry. Or your projects, I should say. If you've been in for,
6 years.
6 years, you've done a lot of
4.
things.
4 years.
4 years, all right.
Well, I have rabbits,
Rabbits,
horse and pony, photography, plant, which is flowers, arts and crafts, veterinary science, works with animals.
goodness, you think Terry's been busy? Well, let's talk about the rabbit. What all do you have to do with her? Can you put her up here on the table so we can all get a good look at her? Here you are.
What's your rabbit's name?
This one's Snow, or Snowball. We call her Snow.
It's a Snowball, and it's very unusual to see a rabbit with a leash. So what have you learned from taking care of your rabbit?
Well, if you start out with rabbits, the small, you learn how to be responsible for your animals. If you want to, if your parents won't let you get a dog or something, learn to take care of animals.
Right, and even a rabbit, you can't just go off for the
That's
weekend
right.
and not remember to make some provision for feeding and watering it. And then, do you show rabbits at fairs and things like that? Have you shown her? Or
Yes, I
And-
showed her at Baltimore County Fair last year.
how did she do?
3rd.
Got a 3rd prize, and
New Zealand, she's a New Zealand doe.
a New Zealand doe. Did you know that was the name for a mother rabbit? A doe?
No.
It's also the name for another mother animal.
Deer.
A deer.
You remember it by the song "Doe and Deer."
Right, that's a nice song. So she looks in very good health now, but did you say you had to take her to the vet, or she had to have some medicine sometimes?
She had her ears. See, rabbits get, all rabbits get it. It's ear mites, and it's really sick looking.
Can you
It's-
see the mites, or you just see the...
It's like crust that comes, oozes, stuff
Yeah.
comes out, and it's in the ear, and it doesn't look too nice.
So what do you have to do?
Well, usually, we took her to the vet, and he gave us this medicine, which clears it right up in 2 days.
Well, she really looks in good shape. Has she ever had any babies?
No,
Not yet. I bet that'll be an exciting day.
right. we want to, though.
Yeah. Danny, let's take a look at the other rabbit. Can you put him over on the stump?
It seems like Snowball's shedding.
All right, Danny. Well, hold him in your lap then, if you want to talk. If you want to talk about him, okay. You see, when you're in 4-H, you get to be very fond of your animals, and you want to tell all about them. So, what's important to know about this rabbit, Danny? What kind is he? It's a he, right? And what do you call the father rabbit?
I don't know. Buck.
A buck, right? And is he a New Zealand too?
No.
Nice.
Dutch.
Right.
A Dutch rabbit. Oh, that's interesting.
We have a Dutch rabbit.
And can you see he has some medicine on his back? What happened there?
It was like dried skin. So so now his hair's coming back in. He doesn't itch or anything anymore.
Oh, good. At where Terry and Danny live, they have 2 beautiful big cages for their rabbits. What do you call rabbit cages? Do you know?
Hutch.
A hutch. And it's very important to have a good place to keep a rabbit before you get it. You couldn't really keep him in a cage like that, could you? That's just a temporary cage to carry them around. It wouldn't give enough room. Let's take a look at the feed and the water.
Well, we start out with the food.
Tip it up so we can see it. That's it. What do you call that food?
Rabbit pellets.
Rabbit pellets, and can you tell what's in it? Have you ever read the label on the bag to see all the stuff they put in rabbit pellets?
It has corn
Good.
and like a dried grass.
Yeah, probably some alfalfa, all kinds of good stuff. Is it good to just feed rabbits lettuce and clover
No.
and stuff all the time, even if you get it? It might make them sick. So they do need a well-balanced diet. How about salt? Do you ever have to give them one of those little salt
Yeah.
blocks sometimes?
We keep one in both their cages all the time. It's just a little white round salt block.
And why is this kind of dish very good?
It's heavy.
It's heavy, right? Even a strong rabbit can't tip the dish over. If you have a dish the rabbits tip over, what happens to the feed?
It all goes into the
All goes to
ground.
waste.
Wasted. Because we used to have a problem. My rabbit, the black and white one, used to tip bowls over because we had a different kind of bowls before we got these, and I was just wasting food.
And you
Or
have to
water.
don't you have to keep track of how much money you spend?
For
And,
4-H record books.
if your rabbit wastes the food, then you have to go out and spend more money for the food. So it's not very right not to have dishes that will stay put. And the water dish the same way.
How old are your rabbits?
Well,
You would have to ask that.
this
David always asks good questions.
this one, I'd say about a year old because it was a baby and we got it for Easter. And that one, it's not much older. They're not very old, about a year or so.
Can you teach rabbits anything? Like you can teach dogs tricks, and even cats sometimes you can teach them a trick. But can you teach rabbits anything?
Sometimes you can get them to follow you once in a while. Most of the time,
Aurora.
we take them for walks, and it's, just let them get out and they run. And they usually follow you or just run around. But before, they just lay there. And usually once they get to know you, they'll follow you.
Well, that would be fun to have
Unless
a rabbit
it's real
to follow.
hot and they just lay, like the day in the shade.
Yes, I think it's the sun that makes them feel sort of quiet, like taking a nap. Well, you said something about a record book, Terry. What does that mean? And Donna said
Well-
something about a record book too.
When you belong to 4-H and you keep record books. And I have 2 of them here. And one's mine.
Oh, that's yours. Yeah.
This one's mine.
Let's see.
And you just keep it. It's of all your projects, records, how much you spend, how you take care of them, when, everything.
And then what do you have to do after you get all this written down?
You hand them in.
You hand it in at the end of every year, right?
Mhm.
And
They give you
they give you a what?
they're little stamps. So you
Little,
can't see them too good, but they're little seals.
little blue seals.
And then they have red, white, and then there's a purple for outstanding and goes to state and things.
Yeah, what do you suppose blue means? Let's ask David, he doesn't know anything about 4-H. What do you suppose a blue seal means on your record book? Means it good or not so good?
I don't know. It could be. I think it means good.
I think so too. And can't you tell by looking at this how fat this book is that Terry has done a lot of work in 4 years? And some people don't have any problem doing the projects, but they have a problem writing them down.
Takes a long time.
If you wait till the end of the year before you start to put your record book together, it's hard to remember how many meetings you went to and how many prizes you won and that sort of
You have to write a story. It's called your 4-H story, and it's of what you did the year that, it's to do with your projects, not every meeting, but to do with your projects, and that takes the longest.
I remember that, though it wasn't so complicated in the old days when I was a 4-H girl. Oh. What's a good thing that 4-H teaches you to do to help you keep from being shy and bashful when you stand up in front of people? I think that's one of the best things. Some of the things that you learn in 4-H that help you, not be afraid when you stand up to talk to people.
You talk in front of people at your clubs. They call on you for different things to tell about, and you stand out in front of your club, and then eventually you just don't get scared talking in front of people.
And if you do a good job at your club, sometimes then you go to talk to bigger groups, don't you?
You're asked to come to different clubs.
And that's. Have you ever given a demonstration, Danny?
No, not yet.
Have you ever given a demonstration, Donna?
Not yet.
Do you know what that means? Well, I guess Terry will have to tell us about giving a demonstration. What's a demonstration?
Well, I've given 2 of them, and my first year and then last year. And, you talk about things that have to do with 4-H, you can, to do with your projects. Like, one year I've done on flowers, both years. One year I did a terrarium, and then next year I did a dish garden. And I plan to do one this year, too.
All right, let's put your rabbit back up here and let's pretend you're giving a demonstration on how to tell if you have a good, healthy rabbit. When you take your rabbit to the fair and the judges come by, they don't let you come around, do they?
No.
When the judges are coming by to look at your rabbit, they won't let anybody watch them, but you know some of the things they're going to look for. Now, what do you think a judge would look for at the fair when they came to this rabbit?
Well, last year, I got to see them judging a couple rabbits, and they go by if they look healthy, like, you know, their ears stick up and they don't lay back or anything, they're alert.
What does that mean when they lay their ears back? Does that mean they're sick?
Yeah, and their ears are something small. That's how I knew mine was.
Oh.
Ears were bad. They lay back, and they're alert. You know, they don't just, you know, just they look at you and everything. And then their hair, it's white or whatever
Annie,
color.
you listen now. If she leaves anything out, I'm going to ask you, okay?
And how fat?
How fat? Do you think they look at their feet? What could you tell by, Danny, what could you tell by looking at a rabbit's foot, especially at the bottom?
Like the claws and the, like, inside of it. You know, how clean the claws are.
Right. Could you tell if this rabbit had been living in a dirty pen?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because that's another thing. It's just like having a cow or a horse and having to clean the stable. You have to keep your rabbit pen clean. What do you keep in your pen to keep your rabbits clean, Danny?
Straw.
Straw. Nice golden straw. Isn't she a nice rabbit? Notice this big patch sort of under her chin. You know,
That's I'm not positive of the name, but it's only on those.
is it called a dewlap?
That's
Is that the
yeah.
name? I've seen it on some other animals. A dewlap, and only does. Only mother rabbits have that. Did you know that, Donna? How about you, David?
I knew the name of it,
No.
so I just couldn't think of it.
Ever hear of a dewlap? Oh, what a good rabbit you are, Snow. So sits up there. And she's really nice and fat. How did you happen to think of training her to walk on a leash?
We didn't.
You did?
Well, it's
Aurora thinks that's a funny joke.
I just got the idea. I like things that follow you around because my dog follows, the cat follows you. So I just had this halter, and we put him on, and we just let her go eat grass, and eventually she gets to know you, and she'll follow you like a dog or cat.
In 4-H, do you ever get through a project? Well, you sort of do get through a project, but does anything ever turn out perfectly?
No.
Isn't there a motto, part of a 4-H motto that tells you that something like that? What is it, Donna? You knew it. In 4-H, you
Oh,
try to make the
that's
best better. You think that's a good saying, David?
Yes.
No matter how well you do, you can always try a little harder to do better the next time. And what's the other motto? Let's see if Danny can think of it. Something about learning.
Oh, no.
How do you learn? You learn to do by
doing.
By doing. Right. Have you ever heard anybody that when someone asks them to do something, they say, "Oh, I can't. I don't know how." And I think that's one of the greatest things about 4-H. If you don't know how, you learn to do by doing. Think you'd like to get in 4-H someday, David?
Oh, I think so.
Do you have to live on a farm? That's another thing.
No.
A lot of people think you have to live on a farm. No.
Like now I have the city.
4-H is in the city, so you don't have to live on the farm. If you live in the city, what kind of projects do you think you could do?
Cooking or sewing.
Cooking or sewing or
Or
even
crafts.
And how about house plants? You know, if you like to grow things, you could do house plants. So you don't have to live on a farm to do 4-H. And suppose you stay in 4-H for a long, long time and get to be very good. What prizes can you win or trips?
Well, they have some to Chicago.
You can go to Chicago.
That's if you win like scholarships.
Oh yeah, scholarships to college. That's a good thing to remember.
It's a lot of things you can keep
If
it
you
up.
If you stick with it, right. But it's goodness, what's happening to her?
Pick on me.
I guess that's why the rabbits are so hot today, because they still have their fur coats on. They get thicker fur in the winter.
She's almost shut it out. Really.
In the club you belong to, Terry, do you have an office? Are you a president or secretary
No,
or
I'm not.
anything? You don't.
I'm not, but we do have officers.
one of the best things that I think that you have is the way you sing all the time. Do you have a favorite song, 4-H song? How about you, Danny?
No.
Well, anyway, if you ever go to a 4-H club meeting, you'll probably hear people singing a lot. How about another thing that you do in the summertime? You go away for a week.
Oh,
Where's that?
camp.
To camp. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts go to camp, and so do 4-Hers.
This year we're going to Rocks.
To a nice place called The Rocks, and what will you do there?
Play baseball, have like art and crafts and all.
Yeah.
And you learn things. Last year, one of the things we had was canoeing. Learn how to canoe.
Oh.
And it's one time they brought snakes. It's nature things we have. Arts and crafts we make different
one
things.
day.
You go on nature walks,
Right.
like we do at Hodgepodge Lodge, and you learn a lot about Indians, don't you? Or
Mm-hmm.
you
We're
all
tribes. We're all tribes, different tribes of Indians.
pretend to be Indians for a whole week, so that's fun.
And we have campfires too.
And do skits and stuff. So 4-H has something in it for everybody. Do you belong to any clubs at all, David?
No.
Not yet. How about Cub Scouts?
No.
No?
I used to, but then we quit.
Well, they're both Scouts and 4-H are both very good organizations. But I think the best thing about 4-H is you learn
I
to
joined the Boy Scouts.
do
Yeah.
you belong to the Boy Scouts and 4-H?
Yeah.
Goodness, you must be a busy boy.
Well, the 4-H meets are like once a month. It's like the first or third weekend.
Only once a
Month.
month, but you
But
do
we
Boy
do have
Scouts.
events. We have
Yeah.
events. We go in places.
right. You
Boy
had a hike last
Scouts are
Saturday,
like
didn't you?
every Thursday night.
Oh, well, that's not too much. to
Like
keep
our
up
club just had a hike nature walk on Saturday.
Saturday.
This past Saturday.
And you go to baseball games, don't you? And ice hockey games and basketball games. So 4-Hers are really, really busy people.
And get to know a lot of people.
I think that's the hard part. You're so busy doing things that it's hard to take the time to write things down in that big fat book. But that's the important part about being in 4-H. How about you belong to a boys club? How can you belong to a boys club?
Well, our club's aimed at girls too. Just not rich.
What do the boys do mostly? What kind of projects?
Handyman, make birdhouses and stuff like that.
And animals.
Animals.
And gardening things.
Mhm.
And in Donna's club, what are
All
most of the
girls.
girls? They're only girls in Donna's club. And what do they all make pincushions?
Photography, arts and crafts,
Oh, yeah.
and things like that.
So, and do you give speeches and demonstrations?
Yes, but I haven't.
Who's the leader of your club?
Well, we were at
Is it Miss Wolf?
Mrs. Wolf
My
and
friend
Mrs.
Mrs. Wolf.
Restival.
And who?
Mrs. Restival.
Oh, I know Mrs. Wolf. She's a nice lady. It looks like Snow's going to sleep here. What's the father rabbit's name?
Tippy.
Tippy. How do you get that name?
Well, tips on like the white, and back here is black, like brownish black.
Do you know anything about how 4-H got started? A long, long time ago? Back in, I think about the time of the First World War. It has a long history, and it's part of, it's sponsored by our government, by the Department of Agriculture, and they got lots of help from the state universities. So that's where the head of 4-H is in every state, at the state university. And they even have 4-H clubs in Puerto Rico, I think.
When do you get your record books?
Well, when you start, you get records and see photography and flowers and horse and pony
On the
stuff.
first email.
And well, when you join a club, your leader gets them for you.
Goodness. Do you ever have anything about fires in 4-H? I hear a fire siren.
Yeah.
Don't you have a big brother that's in
Yeah.
4-H and he's a fireman too?
Belongs to Chestnut Ridge Fire Department too.
Is there a 4-H project on how to prevent fires in your
Yeah.
house and how to be safe?
Forestry, I think.
Forestry, good.
Do that.
Do you have any of your pictures in there that you've taken for photography? Have you learned how to be a good photographer?
Mm-hmm. I think. Here's some photography.
Turn the fucking wood.
You get different pictures.
There's a picture. Can you tell what's going on there, Donna?
Well, they're trying to go up. It might be a sliding board.
I think it might be. And do you enter pictures in the fair too?
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten any prizes on those?
I've gotten a couple seconds and thirds, things like that.
And when you get to be as old as you are, Terry, do you help? Not that you're very old. If you've been in 4-H for 4 years, then it's part of your job to help with new members and help
younger members that are just starting their first year with the record books. I help my brother.
You help your brother. Did she help you, Danny?
Yeah.
Good.
And a couple other members, the older ones, go out and help them with the record books, tell them how to do it. And then we have a record book workshop for younger.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice thing. You have so many workshops that how to make corsages, how to make terrariums, how to plant plants. You really have a very, very busy club. Danny, what would you say was the best thing you've done in 4-H this year?
Go to camp.
Going to camp. That's something to look forward to. How about you, Terry? What do you think is the
like
best thing that's happened to you in all your 4-H experience? How do you think it's helped you?
I've learned to take care of animals because I have a horse, and that's my favorite project.
Too bad you couldn't bring him along this afternoon. Maybe someday we can ride over to Hodgepodge Lodge. That would be fun.
It's nice trails.
Have you ever?
I could get my way over here.
Were you ever bashful and shy and afraid of standing up in front of people? You were?
My first demonstration.
Do you think she's that way now, Donna?
I doubt it.
No. I think she could do a good job anywhere of telling people about 4-H. And you've never had that problem of being bashful and shy, have you, Donna?
Maybe. I think I have, though.
No one asked you anything, Aurora. Aurora's never been bashful and shy either.
Elliot likes some meetings.
Well, I hope you've learned a few things about 4-H. Remember, head, heart, hands, and health are the 4 H's. And it's great to be a 4-H club member. It helps you to grow up to be a good mother or father or citizen and to get along better in this world. Come back very soon again to see us at Hodgepodge Lodge.
This program was made possible through funds contributed by members of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting.
Pre-recorded in the studios of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting.